skydiving was way outside of my comfort zone, but I don't regret it at all. It was one of the best experiences of my life.
But I do love puzzles. We've actually gotten interest into some speed puzzle competitions, so that's fun. I have puzzles in my office.
All right, welcome everyone to episode 11 of the Online Student Experience podcast. My name is Dallas Wobbington. I am the coordinator for the Online Student Experience here at UNT. Today's episode, we're going to be focusing on staff passions outside of work and kind of get to know our guests here. So I'll just give them a chance to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Sheila Bustillos. I'm the director for assessment for the Division of Student Affairs.
My name is Shafayat and Sheila. I'm the assistant director of assessment at Student Services.
Awesome, welcome. So we wanted to kind of introduce some different staff here at the Division of Student Affairs, kind of get to know them a little bit and kind of see like the behind the scenes of people you may have had a chance to interact with at UNT, the staff. So we're just going to be kind of talking about what their lives outside of work is. So we'll go ahead and move into the first question, which is, what's something you love doing outside of work, whether it's in personal interest or a hobby? What's something that people may not know about you?
Yeah.
So I think I'll break it down into like maybe my weekdays versus my weekends. So weekdays, when I wrap up, go home, just decompress a little bit and try to get a bit of a session with music, try to dabble in music a little bit, try to play the piano, and then just get a workout in and then kind of relax for the rest of the evening and hit the bed. But the weekends, generally, like I've been enjoying a lot of just exploring and trying out different things. I think I'm in that place in my life where I just kind of want to experience different things that I haven't done before. So try to just coordinate it with friends and family whenever I can, and yeah, just kind of go from there.
He went skydiving for his last birthday, so I feel like.
You say that so casually for someone who literally went skydiving.
It's like literally trying new things, flying out of a plane.
Yeah, so there was that, and just other things. I've tried recently. I guess I went roller skating, skeet shooting, and skydiving, of course. So yeah.
Is there anything, a particular reason why you've been wanting to do like these more physical hobbies like skydiving?
I don't know. I don't question myself. I have no idea what made me do that. Skydiving was way outside of my comfort zone, but I don't regret it at all. It was one of the best experiences of my life.
You say it so casually. Meanwhile, I'm over here thinking, skydiving? Absolutely not. And you're like, skydiving? I could do that once at least.
Yeah.
The thing is, I've never done anything in between when it comes to adventurous activity, so to say. It went from nothing to skydiving, but so which was kind of a surprise to me as well. But I would say it was one of the most peaceful experiences. It sounds like it's like intense, but it's very peaceful.
That's great.
All right, you could follow that.
I mean, that's the thing is I was like, I should have led with this. So especially this, because I'm a trader to millennials. I enjoy doing puzzles and I read books.
Hey.
So like nerd alert. But I do love puzzles. We've actually gotten interest into some speed puzzle competitions. So that's fun. I have puzzles in my office and but I also cycle. So I played basketball in college, used to do triathlons, and now my body is pushing back and saying no more. So I cycle a lot and do some competitions and stuff, a couple every year. But that's pretty much me.
Geez, hearing y'all's hobbies and what you do outside of work, I'm over here being like, maybe I'll be risky and go to Albertsons instead of Kroger today.
Hey, you know what? Someday we have to spice it up somehow.
Hey, exactly. So that's kind of what I've been doing as I'm going to go professional first time outside of college, trying to find those hobbies and interests that keep me entertained, especially as a full-time employee and as I call it, an adult. I'm an adult now. I got bills. I got things to pay. So every time I get outside of work, I'm like, do I want to sleep? Do I want to read? Do I just want to rot on the couch? But that's kind of, I think this is a good time in my life where I can kind of dabble and explore in what I'm interested in. Yeah. Not skydiving. Don't know if I'd push it that far.
You should.
But I know that's one of like students' concern is like I work full time and then I go to school, da da da. So trying to find time for myself is one of the biggest struggles.
Yep.
So we'll kind of transition, kind of talked about it a little bit, but what do you enjoy most about the hobbies and interests you currently endure in?
Well, if it's just trying new things, I think for me, one of the things that's always mattered is the companions that I'm trying it with. So it's less about the experience and more about sharing the experience with the people that are kind of just there with you and making those memories along the way. So that has always been the most enjoyable part about that, like trying new things. But with when it comes to just dabbling in music, after work or whatever, it's just a way to kind of zone out and relax and decompress. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, what about you?
Well, and I think counter to that, I feel like I should be starting first. Because he sounds so great, and then I'm like, wow, I want to be alone by myself. Puzzles, books, cycling, like these are all. But I do most of these things with people, except read books. I do that alone. But I do like being around people. But I think I have 2 children, and so decompressing for me means like me time, and sometimes I literally have to get out of the house to do that. And so I think that's why I love cycling so much. You get to see so much and it's low impact and I'm away from kids at least for 3 hours or 2 hours. So
See, it's great being able to see like the range because you're saying like I get to meet the people, I could go do this and this, and she was just like, I like my alone time, and that's
I
okay
do.
because like there's a variety of different people who are very extroverted, very introverted. I'm like a good medium. I like my reading, I like my alone time, but then I recently joined like some book clubs so I can enjoy reading with
Yay.
other people.
Yes.
So finding a good medium in between it is nice.
It is.
So relating to your hobbies and what you guys have talked about, do you have any favorite memories or achievements from them?
You want to?
I mean, honestly, relating to my hobbies, like again, I think it's all stemmed from I played basketball for 13 years of my life and volleyball as well, and have played pretty much every sport under the sun. Badminton's one of my favorite and still is like it's one, and you can play it as an old person. I like those. And so honestly, I think achievements, probably the biggest achievement I ever had, which I mean was a hobby, even though I got paid to do it in college. I played AAU for a basketball team called Team Texas, and it's still an AAU team to this day. But we won third in nationals, and that was huge because I mean we had like this big, it's like Stanley Cup kind of trophy where it's just massive and that was a really cool memory. I think of like being on top of a sport and like being on top of your game, and that's a really cool feeling you can't replace. And as athletes, I'm sure anybody who was an athlete in high school and now isn't, you can kind of feel like if your team went to state or something, it's just hard to replace that feeling of being in that moment. Which is why I think it's hard for us to stay focused and like, motivated to do stuff because that's what you're always comparing it to. But
Now you get to follow that.
So I'll just bring up my skydiving.
When I almost died out of the sky.
No, to be honest, I have a lot of favorite memories, and I don't know which one to choose over the other. So I'll probably resort to my most recent one, which would be skydiving. It was just, I think, it taught me that I could do something that I never imagined I could do. I wouldn't even dare think about it, and there I was falling from 16,000 feet. And I enjoyed it, survived it, of course, thankfully. And then here I am to talk about it.
Still here.
So I think just knowing how much further I can actually push myself is the achievement that I would think about when it comes to that experience. So yeah,
I just find it so wild because I am, first off, very unathletic person. I like my casual hobbies, something where I can sit down in. Because even if I sleep wrong, I'm gonna wake up next day being like, this is awful. Meanwhile, y'all over here doing cycling, doing skydiving. Shoot, I wouldn't go quite as far as skydiving, but maybe I need to look into doing something a little more extravagant other than choosing which grocery store to go to.
Hey, that's okay.
But moving to the next question is, I mean, y'all mentioned you have other things you have to do, you have your job. So how do you find time to look into potentially any hobbies or interests outside of that? And how do you really settle in and find the time to do any of these?
Um, to be honest, I think I'm privileged in that way. I just don't have as many responsibilities after I get off work. Um, so I get to enjoy that, and I don't take it for granted. Um, so I try to make most use of the time that I get. Um, but at the same time, having lived this life of a student that's always out of time, and then all of a sudden I do have some time, it's like a lot. Even 30 minutes, you're like, oh my God, I've got 30 minutes on my hand. I could do so much. And so I try to make the most of it. And that's it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard because, I'm thinking, I don't even know if anachronistic is the right word, but like in the past, because I'm probably way older than a lot of your students who are listening to this, decades older even. But I think like, as far as like speaking to you and your time, I think we make time. We sort of like people have said we vote with what we pay for, and we really are valuing what we put our time in. And so, honestly, I would even turn this into some advice. I'm anti-social media. I have been for like 11 years now. And I know I actually saw a sign on campus that said delete your social media. And I was like, that's right. Been there for 10 years, over 10 years. But I think like thinking about how much time you spend on something is you're putting your value into that. And so if you feel like you could be growing or learning a language or doing something challenging, and you feel like that is what's keeping you back, or that is what's connecting you, keeping you from doing what you want, I would think like definitely reflect on that. That's where I was 11 years ago when I stopped. So I'll tell you, when 11 years ago when I got off social media, I think I probably read one or two books a year, and then the next year I have had a goal of reading 25 books a year since, and I've met that goal and surpassed that goal many years. And so I think like I started to notice the all the time I had when I was away from my phone. I was also doing a weird thing. I was doing stand-up comedy at the time, and so I was always trying to like post something quirky and dumb on my social media page, like knowing no one almost cursed. But no one cares who I am. I'm like, no one cares who you are. No one cares what you're saying. And so anyway, I found like that really helped me find more time. And then I was able to value that and keep that moving forward. And so I even have two kids. I have a partner, a really supportive partner. So I think that that's important too. If you find yourself in that position, is really negotiating that alone time, or that time with somebody that you care about, or with your children, even talking to your kids about like, this is my private time, like please, you go do your thing, I go do mine, but really like being okay to negotiate that and do what you want, because that helps motivate you to do other things.
Yep. I'm not sure if this is just a me thing or it's like a Gen Z thing in general, but it's like hearing you guys talk about your passions and what you do outside of work is very much like whenever you see your teacher outside of school being like, oh my gosh, you exist outside of school, you don't live here. And so that's what I love hearing about staff and what they do outside of work, being like, what do you mean you go home after this? And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to highlight this episode a bit, just to show that make students more comfortable with coming and talking to us about certain things, because people may see our titles and think, oh no, they may judge me, they seem a little scary. Meanwhile, Sheila's done stand-up comedy. She's probably the last person to judge you on anything.
Yeah, that's very true.
And so I really want to like emphasize to students, like yes, we're professionals, we have important jobs, but at the end of the day, we're still people. We still have things we want to do outside of work. We're not our jobs 100% of the time.
Yes.
But going back into like work and your passions, does your passions or your hobbies ever inspire you or influence you in your work in any way?
I don't know if it's influence, but it's, I guess, the mentality that I would bring in both cases. Um, and when it comes to my passions, whether it's music or just experiencing new things, um, I've adopted the philosophy of like trying to be a little better than I was yesterday when it comes to whatever I'm doing. And when it comes to my day, try to make my day a little better than yesterday. So I try to apply at least how, whether I'm successful or not, I have yet to determine. But I try to apply that same philosophy, try to be a little better the next day, and learn something new, bring something new in. So that's what kind of the commonality between work and my passions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and as Mother Teresa just said, it's just like, I'm gonna flip that and say, like, I am super competitive and I want to win on a lot of things all the time. It's annoying. It annoys everybody around me. I get it, but I'm okay with it. I've come to terms with how competitive I am, and so that's it. I mean, like, we always compete with each other on like learning new methods and ways of looking at data and analyzing data and trying new things that are really hard. And sometimes and so I think that when I do hobbies on the outside, like puzzle competitions and like cycling competitions, like you see a trend here, like I'm still connected to that pursuit of greatness and like trying to win and trying to be the best I can be. And that absolutely comes into our work. Or at least like it may be annoying. It comes into mine, but I think we have a healthy competitive relationship.
I thoroughly enjoy that process. I'm competitive too, and when it comes to
Yeah. He's
learning
very
things.
competitive.
Yeah.
He's being nice, but
I could definitely see that sort of competitiveness and dedication when it comes to you guys' work, because especially with the achievements you received recently for your
thank
assessments.
you. Yeah, I
You
appreciate
want to
that.
tell everyone what happened recently?
Well, we won several awards, national awards, one for, so neither one of these are going to make sense to y'all, but there were two national awards in support of the assessment research work that we do for student affairs here. And so really, I think that those awards stem from the passion we have to make sure the experiences that the things that you're doing here, leadership, anything co-curricular, your interactions in the halls, all of those are met with the most thoughtfulness, and we're making sure that you are learning and getting enrichment from those opportunities. And the evaluation that we do on those projects, we try to be really thoughtful of those experiences that you have. And so I think those awards maybe were inspired by that work.
I should just clarify that we bask in the glory of her
Oh,
awesomeness. These awards and everything, it's completely.
You can see he puts a
With her-
positive spin on
with her
everything. So
leadership.
we already see your angle, sir. We already see your angle.
Yeah,
I
well,
appreciate you.
Congrats on that, by the way. But moving on to the next question is, what sort of challenges have you faced while pursuing your passions or hobbies?
I think we're perfect and awesome.
Absolutely.
Next question. No, I'm just kidding. We face challenges all the time. I mean, for me, I think it's been physical limitations. My mind works differently than my body. It wants to do different things than, my extremities will allow me to do. So really that's been for me. I think physical challenges, mental challenges, they're just none. Like we have growth mindsets and I want to learn everything I can. And always be learning and always be enjoying that process. But
I think now not so much as before, but time definitely used to be a challenge. When getting back home after classes and everything and being super tired, yeah, I would still sit down maybe 15, 20 minutes on the piano or something. But that was always a challenge, like wanting to do something and then not really having that time. So yeah, that used to be a challenge. I think right now the challenge would be sometimes just I procrastinate too. That would be the challenge in my case. So
What? College students don't know anything about procrastination. Crazy. But I want to touch on a bit what you mentioned is like at least dedicating like 10, 15 minutes a day about it. And I think that is really important to acknowledge because we tell ourselves, part of procrastination, tell ourselves all the time, I don't have time for it. I gotta do this and that. If you have 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes in your day, you have time to work on it. It's also really good because it's going to help with the mentality of just being like, I'm not overwhelmed with work and school and everything else all the time. I at least have 10 minutes to myself out of the entire day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you keep doing that every day, it definitely helps over time. All right. going on. So, what kind of advice would you give to someone who is wanting to explore their passions or hobbies but feels like they're too busy to do it?
Yeah.
Um, just that. Whatever time you get, it's a passion. It's something that you do because you enjoy. It's not something that you go out of your way to do. It's part of your relaxation time. So utilize whatever time you get, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Like you just said, it adds up. And just that bit of time can also just contribute to someone's overall well-being and a focus in other areas. Having that little moment to yourself, you can be like, hey, I had that moment. I feel mentally fresh. I could go at something else that's part of my daily schedule.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Well, I have two things. Get off social media. Don't say you're going to limit it because you won't. And you know you won't. Just get off of it and see what happens. Or pause it or do whatever. Or like delete the app off your phone and just see what happens. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised how much time you have. But I would also say use the same time management skills that you have for your coursework, for your after school work. And I do this even with my daughter. She's a competitive dancer. She dances 16 hours a week. And so I'm always trying to show her that like you have to schedule your dance time just like you schedule class time and study time, because then she sees how much time she does or doesn't have to do other things. And she knows when those times are. So when that like 7 o'clock on a Thursday hits, that she knows she has like an hour where she can do whatever she wants before she has to do other things. And so, I think use those. It might feel weird and funny, like scheduling workout time, grocery store time, like all of these weird things. But I think if you schedule them out, you start to understand how much of your day is filled and how much it isn't. And I think that helps too. So expand the time management outside of just like your mandatory work and school, and do that for your own curricular activities, your own goals. And it'll help you with goal planning too.
Yeah, I definitely try to do that outside of work. One of the reasons I just have a bad memory, I have a terrible memory. And so writing things down, kind of scheduling out my day, and like anytime my friends want to meet up or something, even easy things like you say grocery shopping, I put that on my calendar. Like, don't forget to go by the store. Or if I'm really busy that day, being like, don't forget to drink water. It sounds crazy, but you know what happens. So that's why me and my Outlook calendar are best friends. I put everything on
Yeah,
there.
reminders are great. That's good.
Exactly. I remember a couple of weeks ago, we had an interview with Joanne from OTP, and that was our biggest thing, is because life gets so busy and hectic. So we try to put bits of our personal life and other activities onto our calendar and block time off for it. Otherwise, it's almost like a promise, like an appointment for yourself, being like, take care of yourself, do this for yourself. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So going on to the last question, what is one dream or goal related to your passion that you would love to achieve?
I'm gonna be called Mother Teresa again, but I'm gonna say it at the risk of being called that. So again, music is something that I've always been very passionate about. I grew up around music. My grandfather was a famous musician or singer back home in my country. And in his honor, there was a nonprofit or charity opened up that opened up, and they support orphanages with music lessons, something that a lot of kids don't get the chance to explore, just music and learning music. So that organization kind of supports that, and I hope to somehow contribute to it, expand it in some manner. So that kind of touches on both aspects, honoring my grandfather at the same time. It is music, so it's still connected. Yeah.
That's really cool.
That's so, just as you guys are learning things, I am learning things right now. Never would have guessed that happened. But continue.
Well, and it's funny because ours are very similar. So I started a nonprofit 15 years ago, Education Reach for Texans, and it supports students with experience in foster care. So I would love to see that I'd love to have full-time staff for that, and that to be operating like an actual nonprofit. Right now it's a working board, so we just have a bunch of volunteers from all over the state who are really knowledgeable running that. So I'd love for that to happen. I also love to do a century ride. I've done I think 62 miles, 65 miles is the furthest I've ridden in a race, and I'd like to do a 100-mile bike ride at some point. So those are the things.
I mean, this is also a good time if you guys are wanting to promote either of those. You're more than happy to. If not, it's totally fine. If you want to promote your nonprofit, you want to promote the charity.
I'll follow up on that.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, there is a PayPal tab on our website. So if you want to, we also partner a lot with the Push program here at UNT. And the students who are part of the Push program are phenomenal. So if you want to reach out to any of those students or the program, that's also a way to get connected on campus.
yeah. So that is the end of our episode. Thank you guys so much for coming here. Really glad I got to have a chance to talk to you guys. I learned a lot. They learned a lot. We're learning together. So thank you so much for listening to episode 11 of the Online Student Experience podcast. The next episode is going to be our last episode of the season. Crazy. I can't believe how far we've gone. But I can't wait to, before I forget, make sure to follow us on our social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, anything you possibly think of, we have it. So thank you guys so much, and I hope to see you on the next podcast. Going green.